Yang is a topic that could warrant an entire course by itself, but I'll focus on refreshing the basics we discussed from our previous course. Yang is primarily used to model data. We've spoken in the past about SQL databases having a schema where the column types restrict what kinds of information the table holds. XML documents can also have a schema indicating how the elements are hierarchically structured and specifying acceptable data types for individual element values. Yang is similar in that it enables a developer to interface with a network device and know in advance how the configuration is structured. A common analogy is an ID card. Go ahead and pull one out of your wallet or purse. The card likely has a unique ID number on it, like a driver's license number. This might be the key of the dataset, which is used to reference the entire collection of data on the card. The card probably has your name, date of birth, and possibly your height and weight on it also. Your name is a string, maybe 2 or more strings depending on if it includes your first name along with other names. Your weight is probably an integer, measured in pounds or kilograms depending on the country of issue. Yang works similarly in that all data fields have a type and optionally have a valid range. Devices may support multiple Yang models to represent the same data in different ways too. Here's a snippet of a conceptual Yang model that might describe a driver's license. Again, I'm assuming you've worked with Yang before, so this should be a review. We can group all the individual data fields, known as leaves, into a collection known as a grouping. Perhaps we use an unsigned 32-bit integer with no range restrictions to be our driver ID, which should be unique per driver. Then, we define a pair of strings for the first and last name. We could add some length restrictions here, but let's keep it simple. In some cultures, people can have many names, so perhaps a leaf list, basically a list of strings, could be used instead. Last, we may want to record the driver's weight in pounds or any other unit of measure. Using a 16-bit integer is sufficient, but I don't know any drivers who weigh 65,535 pounds. I also don't know any drivers under 55 pounds, which is how some car manufacturers determine what makes an adult in terms of vehicle design. Let's constrain this to a more realistic but still very wide range. Now that I've refreshed your memory on Yang, let's transition to RESTconf, a popular protocol that carries Yang modeled data. I've used this slide in several courses to explain RESTconf because it's simple and concise. TCP port 443 is typically used for RESTconf as it runs over HTTPS, although this can be customized. The main selling point of RESTconf is simplicity. To capture a subset of the configuration, craft an HTTP GET request and send it to the network device. Being a stateless API, it is extremely fast. RESTconf is basically a REST API with resources arranged in a way that follows a Yang model, making it relatively easy to use. We've talked a lot about REST APIs in previous courses already. By the way, that data IETF routing static URL isn't fully valid, it's just conceptual. We'll see real URLs in the upcoming demos. The server responds with standard HTTP responses containing status codes like 200 for OK. The responses also contain the relevant configuration data in the correct Yang structure. It can either return XML or JSON encoded data. I typically prefer JSON, especially when using it within the context of network automation. It's just easier to convert into Python structures. Adding a new static route is accomplished using HTTP post, along with the proper URL and configuration updates to apply. The configuration is carried in the HTTP message body, again encoded as XML or JSON. It follows the Yang model and is applied to the device upon receipt. Other HTTP operations like put, patch, and delete also work similarly. Cisco IOS XE RESTconf devices typically reply to post requests with status code 201 indicating that a new resource was created. This is generally true for any REST-based API.